Hello and welcome to tonight's final presentation of the Overwatch Campus Clash. Over the last few weeks, 130 university teams have gored one another for goods and glory and stood stalwart to maintain their standing. This jolly joust of giants is brought to you by the good folks at Republic of Gamers, Intel, and Twitch Student. Today, though, is the big one. After surviving the gauntlet of godlike gaming, 4 teams remain standing, victory only guarded by their respective opponents. Today's first match, the Cambridge Cavalry is riding rambunctiously onwards to battle when beyond the clouds appear the angelic apparitions that are the Warwick Angels ready to face their foe. I'm the Olamancer, your stunned Hobbit observer for the night, and with me is the Battle Mage of Battle.net, the Wizard of Wording, and the Sorcerer Supreme of making a scene, Mr. Man of Class himself. Hello, Classy, how are you today?
I'm great. It's cold out there, but it's warm inside because we got some Overwatch, and we're gonna turn up the temperature a little bit, or at least we're gonna have the teams do it for us, and then we're just gonna translate that to you guys in the best way we know how, which is shouting at a screen. And you know what? Shouting at a screen is a very fun way to describe what you do for a hobby or for a job or for anything that you really want to call this. But yeah, Warwick Angels, Cambridge Cavalry, two great teams obviously made it this far. Winner of this match goes up against Busted, which is just I mean, that's what it's all for. That's all for the marbles. They're not just there yet, but that's just where we're gonna go. And Warwick Angels, they already have like this rivalry going on with
Yeah.
Southampton, the other Angels team. The head to head. They're 2-0 so far, and they've been around for a while. Tankski has been with the NUEL and with the Warwick Angels since 2016. But then the rest of the team has already been there for the season of 2018-2019, so they've been around for a while as well. They're essentially the team that came up during the GOATS meta, now has to sort of adapt towards this whole thing with double barrier, still trying to maybe play the same thing, and that might also be why they don't really enjoy anything that has to do with May, because they didn't really, May kind of came in after Goats was sort of starting to get nerfed it a little bit more, and then
Yeah.
May was still in the same stage, so they have to deal with that. And then on the other side, you have Cambridge Cavalry, a team that's been around for like 2 months, that basically grew up in this double barrier meta. They like Sigma was released by the time they came out. 222 Lock was out by the time it came out, by the time they were a team. So they've had so much more of a foundation only in this meta as a team that really can maybe give them an edge today. And they might also not like the double barrier meta, but it's still something. They say we still play it, which also probably involves them playing May. I don't know about Warwick Angels whether they still enjoy playing May, and with the new patch that might have changed for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's what we're at with these teams. They're very evenly matched on paper, so I'm really looking forward to see what they can bring out.
Yeah, speaking of what you just said, the double barrier meta, dead or alive?
It's alive,
Ah,
because even though barriers are nerfed, two is still better than one. I could guess that's kind of the way you can put it, because like more is always better in that situation. That being said, though, it's not unheard of teams running not double barrier. So what we see a lot coming out are things like Wrecking Ball, the odd Reinhardt Orisa as well, or Reinhardt Zarya even.
oh yeah.
Whether it's as effective as the other thing kind of depends on a few factors. The Wrecking Ball play really only works out when you have someone who can actually properly play Wrecking Ball and when you know how to play around it. So
Yeah.
what you see happen a lot is that teams will just play it because they think it's good, and then they don't quite know how to execute it, or the mechanical skill isn't quite there, and that
And then
kind
it
of
just
makes them
turns
fall
into
behind a
an
little bit. Yeah,
Yeah, it just turns
exactly.
them into an old battery, all in all. But we'll see whether or not they have a decent Wrecking Ball player, or even go down that route. I mean, I am super stoked to see what is happening now that the new patch is live. And two barriers are still better than one. We'll see whether or not these guys have actually found a way around it. Now, speaking of the team compositions that we can expect from these teams, what are your predictions here?
Well, I mean, they're almost ready to come out of spawn on these young night market here. Obviously, a great map, a lot of versatility. We've seen a lot of Symmetra come out here, but these teams both seem to want to go for a at least an Orisa and a Mei and a Lucio to a degree. Maybe the Lucio will just be for the speed boosts.
Hmm.
No, it looks like, yeah. So it's going to be Zenyatta Baptiste versus Lucio Baptiste, mobility versus damage, and the other DPS and tank are a little bit off. So more close range on the side here of Cambridge, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to get to the point first. Although in this case they do.
Oh, yeah, they definitely do, and it looks as if the Angels are just taking that first little stab inside here, trying to get the high ground from the Cambridge Cavalry, who just went into the site route, looking at this setup. The Maze are obviously already showing a lot of impact as Holy Sway takes down 2, though, on the side of the Angels, so that means a little bit of a damage disparity here, and it looks as if the Angels are able to at least get their first stab at the point. The Cavalry having 14 points in there, but the turnover is already there.
Yeah, Holy Sway being able to stay back far enough that the McCree actually got the value. Didn't really need the flashbang for most of that. Just helping to break the barriers a little bit, do the damage, and they're still going hard, and now they're trying to hold them in this choke, which is working out so far.
Well, yeah, but look at the Reaper on that sideline. Looking for a way in. Static, but a very nice Maywall, making something happen. Chamber already very low on account of not being able to going full in there and then eating a lot of bullets. Now Holy Sway with the ultimate, trying to find an opening, is unable to do that. The Maywall closing it out once and for all, and that was one whiffed ultimate, which was basically just a nice little reload here. Static in a fight. The sound barrier's already up for Aerox, and now it is up for Cambridge to come back in there. The Angels trying to hold their points in there. The May down, Static already down, but Hyper Psychos is already gone on the side of Cambridge. So looks like a nice little skirmish, but both teams have to reset there for a second.
Yeah, I mean, they both lost the DPS, but they were kind of fine with that in the defense. They just were ready to invest more ultimates, but they never had to. Now they lost their McCree, though, and that is not what you want to have happening. Nice shatter!
With a very, very nice strike right there. Shatters there on the ground. Was low there for a second and is able to pull that ultimate with a nice jump in there. Is unable, though, to execute anything on it himself, but the rest of his team is moving in there. Chamber going down very low, is getting healed up. Tanksy and J4 both down on the side of the Angels. No tanks on their side, and now it looks as if Cambridge can retake this point. G-Slaw down, Static and H-Moon have a bit of an issue staying on there, and the real estate changing over to Cambridge Cavalry once again.
Yeah, like the biggest thing about that is the amount of ultimates they had to use, which wasn't a lot, and they'll still have quite a few in the bank. So will the Angels, though. They definitely have something to work with, but the economy is kind of stabilized and equalized with that.
Definitely the ecosystem here for the Angels might be a bit rougher than it is for Cambridge right now. Holy Sway with the double. Very nicely done here after a very good Deadeye. Taking up another one. Hyper Psycho's going down. Finally, Holy Sway being killed by Skyax. And now moving forward, the Angels back on the point. The capture is going very, very closely with most of the Angels on point. The body advantage there, and that is a turnover. Yet again, 83%.
Yeah, and Cambridge will definitely have another chance to come back into this. The normal cutoff is 86%, and that's actually gone up since the patches, because mobility has sort of been increased for everybody. They're gonna try and come back in. They have some tools to work with this. They have to watch out for that blizzard from Static.
Oh, look at that. Hyper Psychos looking for an opening for the ultimate. Takes Holy Sway and it pulls the trigger. H-Moon's lamp is coming down. H-Moon following it up behind. Tanksy going down, and Hyper Psychos just cleaning it up. Taking out Psychic, and this should be the turnover. 99% and a very, very great position right there.
That was beautifully done. You saw Hyper Psychos who were in the POV, teleported in, immediately baited the flashbang, and then the entire team was ready to just kill that immortality field as soon as it came out. Nicely done, well coordinated, and it was, I mean, it was risky. It was a risky play. You might or might not get the value out of it, but it just got exactly what they needed. And they had the sound barrier, so there was a little bit of safety net.
Yeah, the riskiest bit was jumping into Holy Sway there, who is one beast of a McCree. But let's look what's happening now. We see the Graphitic Flux coming out, the Blizzard on the side of the Angels as a counter, and J4 now cleaning up, trying to get back onto that point. There's 4 people already down, 2 people in trouble. Skyax finally dying, and Aerox is just coming back in there, and this is turnover. Overtime wick already running. I don't think they can get back in there in time.
No, the wall definitely made sure that didn't happen. It was like an extra boop, but Eric's couldn't get through that window because of the wall. That was just a nice combination. Yeah, the Gravitic Flux plus the Blizzard, you know that they're going to be in the air, and then when they fall down, they'll likely be really quickly frozen, or at least will have trouble running away back to the safety of their team. So they got, I think they got straight away 4 kills out of that one, and then you only have the Baptiste and Yarissa, and yes, they're sustainable, but 2v6 generally not going to go your way. So a nice combo coming out there from the Angels, recognizing their win condition, not sweating by any means. In fact, they kept their cool. You know, just turn the temperature down, throw out a blizzard, you're fine.
Yeah, no, that's right. I mean, looking at the aggression that came out of both these teams, though, for the first round, they're both trying to set a score. They're both trying to, get the tune going, and I love it already. I'm starting to feel, that tingle that comes with a love record final, that comes with that fight for that last final spot, and these teams both seem to desperately want it. Now let's see what else they want to do. They both want to get on the point, and it looks as if it is Cambridge who are, the first one on point yet again.
Lucas punch doesn't hit, but they do get away from safety. That wall is nice though, Ollie.
That wall is fantastic, just splitting it up. It gives them a chance to get in there, and that's exactly what the Angels are doing. Now, H-Moon and Cheeselord make full use of the fact that they have enough shield in front of them to just actually, damage a bit, rather than just needing to heal. Timim going down there, and Alvlex following it up. It looks like a capture that could just be coming in there, just farming a little bit of points here by Aerox, but that was just about it, and the Angels back in control.
Angels back in control. They retook after they lost it for 16%, but now they're going to be in a little bit of a better ult spot. Windows are going to be online for both teams. That is the amplification matrix for people not familiar with the term. It's a nice wall split. They can do some extra damage, just delay some time.
Yeah,
it's just annoying. It's interesting because they were the team that said they don't like anything that involves May, but then they play it so well. It's just
Oh, definitely. Static is doing a stellar job with those walls. It's either blocking it off or just splitting it all one-to-one. Now, Tanksy has the ultimate. Let's see whether or not he will use it as a deterrent, maybe in the combo up. No, not in combo up with the Matrix, because the Matrix has already been gone. Holy Sway has his deadly dead eye, so we'll see whether or not he can pull it off this time. But the double shield is still there, is still alive. Very great, great block yet again from Static with a great wall. Timim already going down, so I think they need to be pulling back right there. And it looks as if everyone got that memo except for Hyper Psycho, who gets the right click from Static. Very well done here, but the rest of Cambridge is pulling back, at least momentarily.
They're chasing them down as well. Look at that. Yeah, this is going to be hard to do. Like they've been constantly in a position where they don't need to engage as the defense, and they just can keep getting a pick here and there. Tintin is not getting anything done. They're doing to switch over to the Mei now, and they also have Hyper Psychos going over to the Hanzo. So they want to go for that more range spam battle. It looks like it's working. Holy Sway already down, and that could be a very good opener.
Yeah, Holy Sway is definitely the main damage dealer that you should watch. Oh shit, the Blizzard is coming out there, and that's 4 people in a lockdown. Cheeselord running the Tranquility, trying to keep as much of his team alive, but has to pull back, takes Chamber Jr. out of it, and J4 is still holding on there, getting Aerox out and keeping most of Cambridge out. The overtime wick already running, and only now it looks as if the wick is running down, but that Tracer of Static is there, just extending it while the rest of his team is pulling back in. Now, 4 people on the point versus 1 on time of the Angels, which is Tanksy on the Hammond. So you finally get that Hammond play coming in, J4 on the Reinhardt. So this wick is not done yet, and the Angels now in body advantage. This is, unexpected.
Not really. They just took too long to kill the Tracer, and then they actually lost 1 or 2 people in the process, so they weren't there with 6. And now they're just trying to, they try to keep killing things, but the Angels have just figured it out and got enough picks that they are now more in the respawn advantage pretty quickly. They clean up this map with a 2-0, and I must say, that never really seemed like they were that much in trouble. They were in control of most of it, but that's usually how that works on control as well, which is very ironic, having control for both the name. We do see that beautiful play from Hyper Psychos. I think we all know exactly what it is. Just teleport in, then immediately baits the flashbang, gets around it. The Immortality Field gets taken down by the Death Blossom, and the rest of the team just walks in. And they make sure that there's nothing left. There's not even cleanup necessary because it's just gone. It was a nice play.
Definitely. Also, look at the target acquisition. I mean, you go for the Mei first. Sorry, for the McCree first. Then you skip the Mei for a second because you can just get out of that with a Wraith form and go immediately for the supports before cleaning up the Mei and then the tanks. That was beautifully done.
Yeah, it was very beautifully done. Now, obviously, we're going to be going to the next map pretty shortly. It's going to be Assault. So it's going to be Hanamura Volskaya or the Temple of Anubis. It's going to be a pretty interesting map. I think that's the thing, because we've obviously on all these Assault maps, the biggest thing was Bastion, just a double shield Bastion, nothing else. It was just Bastion all the way, and I mean, both these teams have undoubtedly played it at some point, but Bastion now is not the same anymore. Because the shield spam is now actually a strategy you can viably do, the Bastion will not be able to run away and stay safe, even with a Baptiste Immortality field. So you'll have two barriers in a Baptiste Immortality field, but if the other team has a Hanzo and another TPS they could potentially spam, the shields will not survive long enough and the Bastion will just die. You'll not be able to do the same thing that they did before, where you sort of needed the Bastion for the shield break.
Yeah.
And then the enemy team will also attack with the Bastion to do that same thing. Those strategies are not really viable anymore because the window is now so much smaller that you won't get enough damage out, enough protection out in order to, well, sustain the damage value of the Bastion. So going here to Volskaya, it was already a very unlikely pick, the Bastion, because it wasn't that popular here.
Mm-hmm.
But with the new patch, it's even more unlikely. So I'm expecting at least a Hanzo to come out from either of these teams at some point. We saw it a little bit from Hyper Psychos.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping to see a little bit more because we saw it a lot over this Breaking Barriers tournament that we had this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So it is definitely that sort of means it's probably a very viable pick. If almost everyone plays it. But it's always been a little bit an open map, meaning that snipers and like longer range spam characters, which Hanzo very much falls under, have always
Yeah.
been a little bit more viable on these maps. So, like I said, I definitely expect it to come out, but we'll see if it does come out.
So it's either that or full dive. You expect a
Hmm.
team in 2019 to go full dive?
Well, no, it's possible, but no. Like we've been talking about it before, where we were saying that Diva is essentially still unplayable in this current patch. That not doesn't. I don't even think it necessarily has to do with her. Like, sure, she might need a little bit of a bump here and there, but yeah, it's just the other tanks just do more. So we're gonna look into what these teams are going to be doing. Right now, we still see that Reinhardt's Orisa on the side of Cambridge, but they've swapped up who's playing what. So SkyX is now on the Reinhardt, is known for the high ground shatters in a specific skin, which we won't be seeing, but we might see the highest ground shatter still. And they're gonna run with the Mei Hanzo, which is yeah, it's just almost gonna be mirror, with the only exception being J4 on the Sigma and SkyX on the Reinhardt.
Yeah, no, that's looking at, the double shield is still real. Skyouts on the run out with Chamber up there. So a lot of shielding coming in from the defensive side. Why do you think that, on attack, the Reinhardt is more viable than the Sigma at this point?
I don't think he's necessarily more viable. It's a different playstyle, but you can run over the team aggressively. You can already see that H-Moon able to do so much with that Baptiste damage already on the attack, losing one shield tank, and then the other SkyX. This fight is going hard in the favor of the attacking team of the Angels.
Yeah, the Angels now on the red side, definitely. J4 taking down the Aerox at this point. The capture is real, and it's just Timim in that May bubble with a little bit of help on the other side from Hyper Psychos, who was running behind those little barrels, unable to hold himself for very long, and that cap should be absolutely final. It doesn't look like the Cambridge Cavalry are looking to contest this, so we're on to point B. Quite easy, quite clean, but, nothing unexpected for a Volskaya map.
No, definitely not. It's something you see happen often. It's either the first attack or the fifth attack that will go very well. This time it was the first attack. We were going to be seeing them immediately use the window as well. H-Moon being able to pump out a lot of damage with their team, but they're able to hide behind it. It was used in a position where it didn't threaten anybody. The Dragon zones out the attackers as well. And now we're going into quite an even fight as well.
This is an even fight indeed. It's 6 versus 6 right there. Both teams looking for that pick. Timim trying to right-click something, preferably the other May on static side, who is still doing a fantastic job with those walls, by the way. Counter wall, trying to come in, actually coming in. No, only Sway is throwing in the ultimate. The Dragon Strike finding the fire strike though. SkyAxe immediately opening this up for a nice little counter going down to J-Force. J-Force taking Timmins down as well, and you know, actually eating the Blizzard. That was very, very valuable. The counter Blizzard for Static now coming out, and it looks as if the Angels are once again firmly in control here. Capturing is going on. J4 with the Graphitic Flux taking Hyper Psychos, while Timim goes down to a melee from Tangsky, and the capture is going in. The first third is already done, and now it is time for Cambridge to come back in there and try to make some room. That May wall though, Static, you naughty, naughty boy. SkyX coming in very, very low and immediately gets made over there with that freeze, and it is very, very hard, not right now, for Cambridge to get in there. Clean kill, clean setup, round one complete, and, you know, quite a hard time to beat. 4 minutes, 7 seconds still on the clock.
Yeah, it was quite problematic as well, because essentially what was happening is that Cambridge had a pretty good defense going, but then they overextended a little bit too far and they mistimed a few ultimates. The Transcendence came out either too early or too late, depending on how you want to look at it, because I think they wanted to save SkyAxe on the Reinhardt, but that didn't happen because they were too late. But then the Blizzard of the Angels came out straight afterwards, and then the Transcendence was gone, so there was a free engage, no one to save them from anything, and they already lost their Reinhardt, so everything just kind of fell apart afterwards because the ultimates were slightly mistimed and the connection between them wasn't quite there. So yeah, I mean, you overextend a little bit, then you use an ultimate to try and save it, and that doesn't go well, and then the enemy team just punishes you completely, and that's how that whole fight kind of got started, by the chain of mistimings, or the chain of trying to correct one mistake. And sometimes that happens. It's not the worst thing in the world. So the best thing you can do is just brush it off, saying, you know what, we kind of defeated ourselves here. Let's just make sure we don't do that again, and then we might have a lot better of a chance. And you were asking before if the Reinhardt works better on attack or on defense. I think he works better on attack, for the pure sake that you have more range to go through. Like, you have more of an area to cover usually, which you're being spammed at by the enemy team, by the defending team. So using that Reinhardt in the defense will probably do a lot more for you, or for attack will probably do a lot more for you than on the defense. And also, when you finally get on top of the enemy team, you usually do a little bit more damage than with Sigma.
Yeah, usually you can do that as long as you know, are in range of swinging. Though, you know, getting in range nowadays is quite hard, especially with that barrier nerf on the Reinhardt as well, because you see Reinhardt barriers going down quite, you know, more often than you used to, due to the simple fact that, you know, you used to have a long time of walking, but a long shield to help you get through that, and nowadays, you know, that just fell away. And for me, as a Reinhardt main, it still hurts my feelings a bit. Now Timim looking for targets, already having the first pot shot on Static. Holy Sway already down at this point. Tanksy going low though. Now Static being found by Chamber, and this looks like a good opening for Cambridge to come in there, and it's exactly what they're doing. The May wall splitting it up. Timim finding Jay up all the way on top of the shed, finding Tanksy in the little room, and it looks as if Cambridge can just equalize it. Very early cap, very easy, and this should equalize them at least on the time for the first point. I think they were even a bit faster than the Angels in the up round.
Yeah, and it is something we've been seeing happening since this patch, where an opening pick is something that's way more likely to happen, especially when you have a Hanzo on your team, because you can one-shot almost any character aside from tanks. So got the kill, killed the Holy Sway, and then the rest of their team just made sure that Static was split off, and got the kill on the Static as well. Both DPS down, and then you can sort of circle around the enemy and just push them in that corner and kill them all, which is exactly what happened. Nicely done. And Tim and Mom was as that dragon as a reward as well.
Now Holy Sway firing up the arrows, but needs to get a bit out of there. Tanksy and Holy Sway are trying to keep the attackers back in there, because it is Cambridge that are trying to push hard. Now have to pull back though, with both Timim and I believe Chamber getting down there for a second. Sorry, SkyAxe getting down there for a second. And it was Holy Sway who made a lot of that damage possible. You know, being able to engage them in a long range without a lot of, you know, counter, except for Timim on the side of Cambridge, who wasn't even in position to get any dangerous over there.
No, it was a good use of the defensive window, and the arrows from Holy Sway were just too powerful.
Let's see if we see that ultimate to counter it out. Sorry about that. I'm just jumping in. J4B trying to get some points in there. Maybe get the graphitic blocks. Timim finding Tankski. So that was a very, very valuable pick. And now moving it up, Holy Sway with the counter dragon. And Cambridge has to pull back just a little bit. The Tranquility is out though for Cheeselord. He is, sorry, for Aerox. He is trying to get the rest of his team in there. Cheeselord still has his, now pops his one as well. And now it's Tranquility versus Tranquility. The Angels formally in control. And it is, you know, a bad moment to be Cambridge as they get, you know, captured in that little room and obliterated, jumped on by the Angels here for a second.
Yeah, Warwick doing a very good job of just, you know, kiting around and making sure that the distance that has to be covered by the side of Cambridge is just a little bit too much. It seems like Cambridge is consistently underestimating the distance they have to cover with the barriers that they have. Ooh, Holy Sway gun, that opening pick is probably going to make them wait for a little bit longer. Gives me a little bit of opportunity to talk about that more. No. No, like usually we see happening is especially these transcendences from Erics have been trying to cover distance towards their team in order to get the value. So it's either the pre-positioning isn't good enough or the transcendence is just used too early. It's either of those things, and it rarely has worked out. But this is a good exit, trying to go aggressive. But I don't know what's happening here. Exactly, just going against each other. But it's a little bit of a scrappy one.
This is a little bit of a scrappy one. They are just brawling it out at this point. Static all the way up there, trying to find a pot shot. Give Holy Sway a second to actually take down Aerox because everyone was just focusing on Static for a second. Holy Sway now going down to Chamber Jr., who was actually awake and was ready for that. Very, very well done. So that means that, you know, at least they can brawl it out a little bit. Farm some ultimates. Very low there, though, is Taxi. Needs to pull back. Graphitic block from Chamber. Now coming out, finding the double kill. H-Moon and Cheeselord are down, and now should be the right time for Cambridge to come in there, which they cannot do because it was Blizzard is down for a second. Chamber now pushing his team forward, but remember, it should be that the Angels are all back up yet again because of that great spawn advantage. Teams still looking to find some damage. H-Moon and Static there to find Timmerman and Skyax. That timer is ticking down relentlessly, and Cambridge have to pull back yet again after a great opening, though, by Chamber.
Yeah, Chamber just, you know, it got a good opening, but after that it kind of stagnated once again because they just couldn't get the next pick. And it really has to sort of fall onto these DPS players to hit some more headshots and hit some more of these nice damage plays. Maybe the walls of Hyper could be a little bit better as well, because the walls of Static have just been outstanding. I think that's really where they're winning this, is that the CC of Static is really good, but they use their wall to save themselves now. No walls for either May, and this could be a perfect opportunity to enter this base.
That's right, Timim now very close to the ultimate, find some sight lines. Maybe he's going for a cheeky little dragon, because remember, when the dragon comes in and it is properly set up, these noodles are definitely still dangerous. So, Timim looking for that target, going in with Skyax, getting a nice little angle in there, or at least a good distraction to finally fire it off. He's still waiting on it, and now it's coming out. Now the Danger Noodles are alive, and that could split the team, does split the team, but the lamp is on there. The Immortality Field coming out, and Holy Sway still has his one to answer for it. So, you know, there is not a lot of momentum coming after it. So, with Cambridge already pulling back, I feel like that Dragon Strike could have just been, you know, used better if they waited a little bit longer. It was a bit of a risk right there. What do you think?
Well, I mean, you see the entire ult interaction happening. They used, you know, 2 ultimates there and they get nothing out of it, while the defense, they used the supercharger, but that was about it. They're not being forced to use anything because they're just very patient, and they keep getting these picks from Holy Sway with his headshots, and there's nothing to do against it. Chamber Jr. now, headshot from Holy Sway, and then Static just finishes it off.
Yeah, that's correct. Now the Blizzard is coming out there very good on the side of Cambridge. They're trying to make something happen, but H-Moon and Holy Sway already put that one to the test. The Dream is dead. Aerox also dead. So, you know, that should be it. This was a last-minute, last-ditch effort. Warwick Angels take this second map. It's now 2-0 for Warwick against Cambridge, and it's time for Cambridge to switch it up. What can they do? What should they do?
there's a lot they could potentially do, but it's always about should, would, and what's actually possible for you to do. And I mean, I definitely think they still have a chance. It's just there seems to be a little bit of a disconnect between what the tanks, the DPS, and the supports are specifically doing. So it's mostly apparent in when the Transcendence was used from Eric's. So it seems that the Transcendence of Eric's is being used too late in a lot of instances, which is like they didn't prepare or plan to use a Transcendence. Then it's more of a reactive type of deal, and that's
Yep.
not necessarily a problem. That can work, but then you have to sort of save the person that you were going to save. Otherwise, it kind of feels like you wasted it. Because if you not don't save that person, so usually it was a tank was either SkyX or Chamber, and if you don't manage to save that tank that then dies, then your DPS and your tank and you have to get one or two picks on the other team in order to have a potential chance of still winning that fight. But if the Transcendence comes out that late, you use a major resource, which saves you from potentially half the ultimates of the enemy team, if not more, and you used it to try and save someone from a situation in which no ultimate was used from that other team. So it's one of those things where that's the most apparent thing we saw coming out as you could call it a mistake, but it's usually
Yep.
something that just happens as a either as a reflex or as a potential
Yeah, it could be
I don't know what to
a
call it. It's
little
just a
miss.
reflex, something like that. And that's also potential what you can see in that like Warwick has been together for a lot longer than Cambridge, and these are situations in which you see those synergistic disconnects happening sometimes, which is it can also be that they're not just ready completely ready for the next patch. It's probably a lot of factors combined, but I will also say that Warwick is playing exceptionally well. Like those the May walls from Static, Holy Sway with all the arrows that they're hitting, and they're
Yeah,
combining them really well with the halts from Tankski as well. It's not just that DPS are hitting the shots; they're hitting the shots they're supposed to hit because the tanks are putting the enemy team in certain positions. So
I
it's a
gotta say,
combination of things, and that's what the meta is all about. Is you have to use those things together to get the picks quicker than the enemy team does.
as good as Chamber and JR and Skyax are as tanks, the guy who has been absolutely baffling me is J4. J4 is just a beast on that Sigma, absolutely loving every second of it. He just turns around, sees something on the high ground, just fires it out there, and is able to, do a lot of damage. I mean, uh, the swallow on the blizzard on that first point, that alone, beautifully done, absolutely beautifully done. Knowing when to be in the right position to use that shift is just what you need as a Sigma. Now, though, Eichenwald, first map where we can see a little bit of an escort action. And we know from the last time I cast them, at least, I cast them with McDowell's last week. We know that Cambridge are very good on escort maps. Escort and hybrid maps are simply their forte because they are a bit more of a tactical term, type of team. So I'm looking forward to this. Absolutely looking forward to this. In terms of composition on Eichenwald, long sight lines, what can we expect?
Well, so normally you would say that yes, long sight lines open up the opportunity for snipers, but usually you'll see teams maybe come out with spawn just to check that there's no fire spam coming in their spawn door, which from Timim will definitely be there. So Holy Sway, not a bad option to start out with. Nice early fire strike, but I don't feel they're going to stick on the double sniper. Now they're going back to the May and the Hanzo, which is a very logical choice. Let's see if they can get through this against the Rhine Zarya here and Iconmold on the defense coming out from Cambridge.
Yeah, and also remember that Hyper Psychos is still there. Hyper Psychos hasn't shown a lot, of flashy plays today, but we all know that he can do that because that one flashy play he showed basically wiped his entire team earlier. Timim, very nice shot there against Holy Sway, and now he has some room to maneuver, some room to actually move in there, even though the Discord orb is already on him. Hyper Psychos looking for a flank to get as much ult charge as quickly as possible, going on the side to Static, who has to use the May wall in order to get out of that one. So May wall already used, so that's another couple of seconds in cooldown that they can get off their cap there for a second. Timim still very dominant, hanging around that bell tower and, just keeping those sight lines open, swapping his position every now and again in order to keep those ranged DPS, those hit scanners guessing. The ultimate is already up, so now let's see what they're going to do. Are they going to use it aggressively? They're going to wait for that to happen. Hyper Psychos finds Cheese Lord, but gets down by Holy Sway there for a second, which means that the ground dominance for the Cambridge Cavalry is a bit weaker than it was just a second ago. We'll see whether or not he can get back in time. Alvlex in trouble. Mimim is in trouble for a second as well. And now the barrier barrage coming out. Two people going down. SkyX following it up with a nice double kill. That wipes it out. And that is beautifully played here on the side of the Cambridge Cavalry. The horses are still in play.
Yeah, they had to use 4 ultimates for that defense, though. It's a lot to use, and there's going to be so much online on the side of the Warwick Angels right now that they're going to have to be very careful. Biggest thing about this, of course, that Holy Sway still doesn't have the Deadeye. Will potentially be threatening with that. But you got to remember, you always say if there's a pharmacy, you can't expect one person to take them out, so it's still going to be a team effort.
Definitely still a team effort, which is, you know, what this game is about. The total steal is coming out, the Graviton Surge, but there is a nice Immortality Field holding a lot of that damage hostage for a second as Holy Sway and Static are able to just collapse on it. And now it looks as if Cambridge have lost the control over that one, and it is the Angels taking the payload out for a nice little Sunday spin.
That was definitely a nice idea. You know the enemy team has a lot of ultimates, so you're positioning extra far forward so that you potentially have either a chance to recontest or you can surprise them a little bit with your own ultimate that you still have left. But they just couldn't follow up on that Graviton for multiple reasons. So there was a May wall, there was an Immortality Field, they had the Transcendence going on, so it was always going to be a hard one, and now Holy Sway is going to have so much more room to work with, and the Farah might just have to go back to spawn and swap.
Oh, both Farah and the Mercy already going down. Eric's already going down for a while earlier, then immediately being followed by Timim, so that means that there is a lot of room for the Angels to move this up further. Eric's getting Timim back there by coming back. Holy Sway with the double. Elflex and Hyper Psychos already going down. And now finally Chamber Jr. finding a little bit of revenge for their teammate. Very well done. Static still on the high ground. Static trying to find Timim with a nice right click. Actually does that. Does a lot of damage. Not enough to actually get scary for Eric's healing. But, you know, right-clicking a Farah is always fun. Let's see what's happening now. Holy Sway, we're riding with them. Holy Sway needing to move around that corner there because the entire Cambridge team is up on the bridge, and it looks like they will be for a while longer. Now only SkyX and Chamber are still going in there. Now though, the Graviton Surge coming in there with a nice combination of that Matrix and that Deadeye. SkyX with the double kill on Holy Sway and H-Man. Great fire strike. Wow, that Maywall saving at least one of them from a certain annihilation as SkyX just charges in there. But Chamber and Sky are able to clear it up with the help of the rest of the team. Chamber Jr. with the double. Beautifully done. And the payload halted and in enemy territory.
It was a beautiful combination of the High Noon and this Gravitic Flux, which I like to also always call the Sky Noon, because it's just, you know, you throw them up and then you can easily shoot them down. But luckily there was only tanks. They have bubbles, they have shields, they don't die to that. And then it was a nice charge follow-up, like you said, by SkyX. Good reaction with Static with the wall, but it was a lose-lose, because either, you know, they die to the charge or the Orisa split off by their own wall, and that was kind of it always gonna be a loss situation. Barrage combination with the Graviton Surge now, and the charge comes out from SkyX with both Reinhardts fall to their the river.
Wow. Both of them taking a bit of a bath, you know, need to do that once a year. Oh, Holy Sway taking out Chamber Jr. Timid following up with Holy Sway Hyper Psychos on Tanksy, and yet again, Cambridge holding it in enemy territory. But now we are getting into that time where there's a lot of ultimate potential on the side of the Angels. Let's see how they're going to run this, because Cambridge, not as much on the board as you would like them to have as a counter.
Well, they switched, obviously J4 was an amazing Sigma over to the Reinhardt now. I think they might just have felt like they needed more flexible and just more shielding in general. But now we have Hyper Psychos just waiting with a death loss, and there he goes!
Oh! Hyper Psychos pulling the trigger, taking the triple, and is just going for more targets. Okay, you just need one ultimate, and if it's in the hand of Hyper Psychos, that is all she wrote. Beautifully done.
Yeah, and I think the big deal about this, what you've seen Cambridge do time and time again, is they set up in a particular spot that's either very aggressively forward or unexpected, or at least has some advantage to it. and that is why they're probably so much better on these type of map types, because they're so different from Control and from Assault that don't have that map geometry going on most of the time, and that's why they're looking so good right now.
Hyper Psychos coming in from behind. That's a raid form through the entire enemy team. Holy Sway fires off on Alflex. That could spell trouble, especially with a Blizzard already coming out there. SkyX with a great shatter, at least halting a lot of that old power. Timon trying to get it in there with the barrage, but it was just not enough. So well played, so well tried, but the overtime wake is running, but so is the payload, and the Angels in control.
Yeah, you gotta think, why not save the barrage and the shatter for when you come back for another contest, because I think they might be able to. I think they should be able to make it, but no, they're just not going to go for it. They're not going to go for it. They're going to give them this point and go back to the inside fight. And they switched over to him to the Doomfist as well. There's a lot of momentum now on the side for the Warwick Angels, and they got to be careful here. Holy Sway going a little bit too far forward, but you can just stay alive.
Yeah, Holy Sway getting a lot of that healing because they know that there is a lot of damage coming out of that battery. I'm really liking the way that they position themselves here. Really, really sharp on those shots, and a lot of headshots coming out of that. So that means a lot of dead eyes, which, you know, clears the way for you quite a bit.
Timon tries to get something done. Oh, the wall actually managed to get the shatter. Nothing. That was weird.
That was absolutely beautifully done. I don't know if that was planned, but that was one beautiful counter wall. Hyper Psychos now on the McCree himself, finding 2 targets, finding 3. Chamber going on Tanksy, has a lot of energy, and the 2 of them just closing it out. Timon helping out on Cheese Lord. Well played, and that wall against J Forbes shatter was.
But it wasn't a counter wall. But it was Static's wall. That's the thing. It was Static put the wall up for his own shatter. Like, it would have been a beautiful counter wall, but it was Static being so good at counter walling that they counter walled their own team. So that was why it was weird.
You're absolutely right. I thought it was just a brilliant play.
Yeah, that's what went down, but now they're ready. They're flanking with this Graviton once again, and I think this time it might get a little bit more value. They're ready for it. They come down, and they get the McCree.
Oh, that is one a hell of a lamp, holding at least a lot of damage out of that, but that won't help. Timon taking down the triple, giving them the fist. SkyX, the only one who is standing in that Blizzard. Round 1 complete, and it's just barely there, and they could have closed it on that bridge earlier with only 10 seconds to go with the overtime already running, but that was beautiful. That Graviton surge, oh yeah, ace.
That was what didn't work for them on point A, and it did work for them on point B and on point C. This is the power of Cambridge, that they can set up these plays. Like you said, they're a very strategic team, but the strategy works only if there's enough space on a map to abuse like that. So like that, I was alluding to that before. On Control and Assault, you cannot do that because you know exactly where the enemy team is going to be. You know exactly where you're going to be coming from. You don't really have as much opportunity to do these hidden ultimate flank strats, which is way more easy to do. And either they're punishing Warwick Angels for not corner checking, because at this point I feel like you should be corner checking if you're Warwick, or they're just very good at unexpectedly setting these angles up. And I think it's probably a little bit of both, but all I can say is it's working for them. And if they can keep doing that, then they're definitely still within a chance of winning this series. But obviously, attack is a little bit different than defense in those situations. So we'll see if it works out the same way for them on attack. They're definitely looking to still run out with the Pharah. On defense, though, they're going to be ready for that. They're going to have the McCree out straight away. J4's back in the Sigma. I don't know if they're going to do this. Like, they could do it. It's a very nice, like, jump and just burst strat. But you have to deal with that Baptiste quickly enough on that lamp. Otherwise, your initial burst is just negated by the Baptiste Immortality field and the immediate heal up. So that is why dive is still so hard to play, because of Baptiste.
And it looks like they're committing. They're going full dive, and I'm really liking it. Go SkyX, lead your team to victory, and I want chat to hear it. I've already seen a couple of you guys in chat going for the reverse sweep chief. I want to see a billion of them because they are going for a bold strategy, and I'm loving it. SkyX leading the charge already in there, trying to get their team as much room to maneuver as they can. Chamber jumping in on the other side, and now they're showing you why that double shield meta isn't all that great. They get you jumping in. The lamp is already down, so now it's time to get a lot of damage in there. Timim, too bad, going down to Holy Sway, who had some hit points left on the side. Hyper Psychos going for the healers and nearly got, both the McCree and the Zenyatta down, but isn't able to complete the deal on those. Now, a little bit of a hang back here on Cambridge side, but they're not done yet.
I mean, they might be done though, because that's the problem with the dive. You have to do it quickly, because the longer you do this, the less sustain you have versus the other team. And this double shield team, they're happy to just lose a Zenyatta here and there, or like maybe a McCree, because they have so much sustain in those tanks that you need to kill the other squishies on their team quickly enough in order for those tanks not to be able to just gun you down anyways. And that's what they haven't been able to do yet. They are building up to some ultimates though.
They are building up to some ultimates at this point. And remember, when the dive comes, the dive is made for quick ultimates and quick engagement. So that could actually work in their advantage. Build up the ult, die a couple of times, and then just ruffle the stomp out of it. And that's what they're trying to do. The accretion, finding Timim in mid-air, though. Beautifully done, though very, very low on hit points there. J4 and Static and Skyax closes the deal on both of them with a very nice spray. And it looks as if Cambridge can take the first point right there.
And they recognize the targets, right? Because there's 2 targets on the side of the Warwick Angels that are still relatively susceptible to dives. Zenyatta can easily get deleted by a dive. Same for McCree. And it's so hard for them to defend against that eventually that was going to be a strategy that worked. In the first fight, it was Zenyatta went down, although a bit late. In the second fight, they used the Nano Winston to take down Holy Sway straight away. And it worked out well for them. After that, Mufarius has free movement, and they're already moving into point B heavily.
Chamber and Timim already finding a couple of targets, being able to get this up. Skyax has that bomb, so if he can, get a nice little surprise bombing in there, we haven't seen those in a long while. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they're going to do. The displacer coming out from Timim and trying to find some opening, gets headshotted from quite the distance there. Nice shot there, Holy Sway.
Yeah, Holy Sway is doing a great job on the McCree, but once again, in that last skirmish engage, we just saw Cheese Lord and Holy Sway being the first 2 casualties, and that's what it's usually going to look like, because they are the diveable targets. They're the ones you want to get. That's why you also see them play a little bit further backward. They want to play a little bit safer.
We'll see what's going to happen right now. The barrage still up on the field. Timim on half HP. Chamber already on the ultimate, going low though, getting frozen by that Mei. That's the downside of playing the monkey. You get frozen, it's over. You get CC'd, it's over. Hyper Psycho trying to get in there with, the Nano Blade. Doesn't really find a lot of targets, and now the ultimates are missing theirs on this point. So what could they have done better? Was that, too staggered? Was this too uncoordinated, or just bad luck on that kind of composition?
I was gonna say, I don't know if that fight is quite over yet, but it seems it is. But I think they got H-Moon with the blades. They got 1, but after that, you said it. It was all about the CC. Got accretion, got stunned, then got frozen. Like, you're not gonna be able to do anything. You're not gonna be able to swing your blade when you're constantly just CC'd out of it. And even if you can, they're just gonna be too far away from you because you don't have your dash anymore. I don't know if Timim is still going to be able to run this far. They've completely swapped up the dive now, by the way. Hyper Psycho's over to McCree. You got the Rein Zarya going. There's so many ultimates on the defense. Like, how are you ever going to get space for anything barrage-like on an Icon Ball here?
Well, the only thing you can do is either hold on to the barrage or farm it up twice. Holy Sway! After a graphitic flux with a nice double kill, Skyax and Hyper Psychos go down because Holy Sway and J4 are absolutely coordinated. Now Static hunting down Chamber. Chamber going down, Elflex down, and the Angels in control of this one.
Yeah, Angels looking very good on defense right now. They don't have to use a lot of ultimates to defend every single time. They had the Sky Noon once again. This time they got Hyper Psycho straight away from it. And afterwards, everything just fell through for them as well. But Timim, I mean, I get you want to use the barrage, but it does feel like they have a very, very, very hard time getting into position 4, especially with Chamber already being down.
Yeah, the only thing you could do at this point is going all the way around. Chamber going down indeed. And, you know, the matrix, the amplification matrix is out there. And the bongos on Tanksy's side are still available. And now they're actually going around, just taking that inside, that inside little high groundiness there to their advantage to stay away from Timon, because I know they have the barrage, because, you know, it's been ages. They know they haven't seen a barrage in ages. Oh, Cheese Lord with a nice shot on Elflex, though. Beautifully done.
It's really one of those, I know that you know that we know that it's one of those situations. Everyone knows that the barrage is there. At this point, you would have passively charged it up at this point, so there's no way they don't have it. But there's still the question, are they going to use it? How they want to set it up? But with this Ryan Zarya, they seem to have a really hard time to approach. It seems that this specific core of composition is too hard for them to really coordinate in where they're going to go and when they're going to go there. The Nano's coming out now on the chamber, though. Going to go in there with a hot hammer, but the High Noon.
Double kill on the High Noon. Beautifully done. He goes down though. Timon finds a target. Chamber finds a target. Eric's gets hyper. Psycho's back up. So now body advantage on the side of Cambridge. The barrage now finally coming out. The stun is real. Tanksy going down. And the payload moving. Yet again, Cambridge in control. The overtime rig running. So now it's a race against the clock. The Angels already coming out of the spawn. Static. Ooh, getting a big shot in there. Almost going down immediately. And losing a DPS on this point, at this point, could be devastating. SkyX very close to the Turbocene, to the Graphitic Flux, and is trying to find it up. 94% at this point. The Graviton Surge, Graphitic Flux coming in for Chamber Junior, going down, and that was it. They couldn't complete it. Warwick Angels take it 3-0.
I missed that entire fight. You know, I was watching this 1v1 between Holy Sway and Farah, and Holy Sway was on 1 HP after like 2 seconds of that fight. And that entire fight, while that was going on, Holy Sway is on 1 HP and doesn't die to the Farah of Timon that entire time. Chasing down the McCree, and the McCree just doesn't die in 1 HP. And if that happens, if you have 2 against 1, then you know what's happening on the other side of the fight. They're fighting a 5v, and you're losing that with your team. So the Farah couldn't get the value that she needed quickly enough, and I think that's a big part of why they managed to lose that map eventually. But yeah, Warwick Angels winning the series here, going up against Busty University. Well, Bournemouth University busted.
University is beautiful.
I mean, you know, it's kind of the thing right now at this point. So Cambridge Cavalry unfortunately didn't win this one, but Warwick Angels is going to give us a great showing in the finals in a little bit, and that's definitely what we're going to look forward to. So unfortunately, Cambridge, you didn't get it on this one, but there were some great plays out there, Ollie.
Yeah, definitely some absolutely beastie plays. And both play of the games, by the way, on the side of the Cambridge Cavalry. Or all 3 of them. So that was beautifully done. But, you know, it takes more than a play of the game to actually win the entire game. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, we are jumping into a little tad of a break while we get the actual grand final of the Overwatch Winter Split in the Campus Clash ready for you. Do us a favor, check out the sponsors for today, which are, of course, the good folk at Republic of Gamers, Intel, and Twitch Student, or follow us on Twitter at the NUEL, or find us on Discord at discord.gg/the NUEL. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. Stay around and listen, because I will be shouting at you in just a couple of minutes. Thank you, and see you soon.
Welcome back to the big night. This is it. The final match. The last bell. The end boss fight. Bournemouth busted. Unbeaten winner of the summer split. Await the Warwick Angels in the arena. Can they keep their strong outing going? Or is it the Angels' turn to take the mantle back to heaven? This final match, and for that matter, all of the winter split, has been brought to you by the Republic of Gamers, Intel, and Twitch students. I'm still the Olimancer, and standing, sight rink with me as your referee is the one and only, the man of class. Classy, we've seen a fantastic game in the first little bit. The lower bracket finals were an absolute treat. What can we expect now?
Well, more of the same? I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be more of the same. In fact, we've reveled, busted, boosted, boosted, whatever you want to call them. We've revved them up so much the entire season because they're just so they seem so unbeatable, right? They seem so dominant. They just win basically everything they play. And going up against the Warwick Angels, you sort of don't expect anything different. That being said, Warwick Angels look very comfortable in the current meta. They know they really want to swap up only to really counter things that the enemy is playing, but they're very comfortable with their base composition. Their Orisa plays strong, they combo around their halts well, and then you have Holy Sway and Static just playing a very nice combination of DPS whenever they need to really do, backed up by nice support play. It's just everything you really want in a team. So they might actually be very much under challenge here on the side of Busted. And obviously, they've also had a little bit of a shake up with the meta swap. This finals was still going to be played on the new patch. They've had a few more days to prepare. Yet a few reschedules, but that was all fine. And I mean, they don't really like to play the Bastion Bunker on the side of Boosted, but that's really gone now. So they shouldn't really be scared of that. And in fact, since they really like to play spammy compositions, this should be a very nice meta for them because even Junkrat to a degree can work out very well on certain 2CP maps. So I don't know where we're going to go map wise yet. We will see. Obviously, we have the same map pool, which is just still have to pick.
Yeah.
But the map choice might actually matter a lot for these teams in this matchup.
Oh, definitely. Both teams are absolutely on a roll, and both teams are very, very eager to get this thing done. I have cast Busted just 2 weeks ago in their fight against Cambridge, actually, when they sent them to a lower bracket, and I was thoroughly, thoroughly impressed by what I saw. They have a new DPS and main tank only at the start of this year, which means that the Angels have been working together as a team, a composition,
A
for
little bit
longer.
longer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And still busted with coming off that summer season, that unbeaten summer season, and a lot of 3-0 wins in the entire playoff season. They are a force to be reckoned with. Now, looking at the setup, like you said, very spammy on the side of Busted, very spammy and mid to long range. What can the Angels do? What do you expect the Angels to do
I
once
mean,
these people come out of the gate?
they've been doing a fairly similar thing, right? A lot of Hanzo McCree and Hanzo May or McCree May, at least a lot of May from Static, obviously, who is doing very well with those walls. And then Holy Sway being flexible enough to go both to the hit scan and the projectile roll whenever needed. So it is a very interesting interaction between those two, and with likely a lot of tank matchups going up that are going to be mirrored, and a lot of support matchups that are going to be mirrored. It might be the difference in the DPS department. Which do they pick? How do they play around it? And what sort of matches up, and who has to adapt to the other team more? That is likely what this is going to look into.
Yeah, that's right. And also, we are going to see two of the greatest teams that we have had in, this year's Overwatch Campus Clash. In both splits, in the summer split and in the winter split, these teams absolutely deserve to be here. And I would very much like the chat to make some noise for these people because they have been fighting for weeks. 130 teams have come into this competition. These two teams are left, and they should be cheered on, by you. And they should be cheered on not only here on the Twitch, but they should be cheered on through Twitter. So go to at the NUEL and let us know who do you think will win this one. So we are waiting for the map pick. And as far as I can say, it's Lijiang Tower. And, for fun, we know that Buster's least favorite map is Lijiang. So,
Hmm.
1 point down for them on that.
Well, I mean, they got the map pick, so I'm pretty sure that they they therefore will also win for that one. I think we're gonna be seeing them going to the map pretty soon. Of course, Legion Tower, like you said, gonna be a hell of a map. We've seen it happen a lot of times this weekend in the Breakable Barrier tournaments. Because yes, there was a European region or EMEA region and an NA region once. There's a lot of Overwatch in this current patch of high level teams to be played and to be shown to us as the community. So I'm looking very much forward to see if these teams have maybe also looked a little bit at those feeds and maybe decided to do a little bit of a different thing for that reason, or whether they've already figured out that same patch and that same meta in the right way. It looked like Warwick had it figured out, but then again, they did look like the consistently better team in that matchup, and that it can sometimes mean that strategies don't show the flaws that they potentially have if the other team cannot exploit them properly. So maybe Boosted will throw a little bit of a wrench in those plans.
Yeah, and I am looking very much forward to wrenches being thrown at this point. With 10 seconds on the clock before these teams load in and start setting up their composition, I have to reiterate: Lijiang Tower, one of those maps you see a lot. Like you said, we see them on the breakable barriers tournament quite a bit, and where you can actually try out some nice little compositions that you wouldn't try out, for instance, on a payload map. So if we're looking at these team compositions, as we're looking at the sheets of what we can expect, what do you think? Are we going to see anything crazy?
Crazy is always a little bit overstatement, right? Because in this current patch, I don't think there's anything that's really too crazy. There's a lot you can do if you've prepared and worked out the strat that it works in. Right now, though, it does seem like we're going to be seeing only two odd picks. So we see the Reinhardt on both sides with the Orisa, and we see the Hanzo versus the Reaper. And of course, Zenyatta versus Lucio once again, which is always an interesting thing. So mobility versus damage, always an interesting choice to make as a team.
Yeah, they're going for a lot more close range here on the Angel side, trying to force them maybe into their range, trying to force the fight onto the Team Bastards players, and it is Holy Sway who's trying to come in from the side. Static already down, Riz in a bit of trouble as Cloud finds J4B, and the Angels have to pull back. Demir already moving his team way forward, Jam setting up. So, first defense and first real estate pick on the side for Team Busted.
Yeah, and it was really all down to the fact that a Hanzo can just shoot someone from further away than a Reaper with effectiveness. So that's where Holy Sway is going over to that. McCree now wants to do a similar type of thing, but that Dragon might be really good.
That Dragon could potentially spell trouble, but at least it is... Oh, Dimir with the double on the Fire Strike. Well done. Cheeselord and Holy Sway already down, and now they're just collapsing. Dimir with their triple. H-Moon looking for it. J4B going down just before making it on the safety on that charge. Beautifully done, but that was adding insults to Fire Fury injury.
And I think a really big part of that was just... The amplification matrix of Straybor was almost down, and in the last possible second, they threw out the Fire Strike through it, which led to a 200 damage Fire Strike, and that's a very big one to block.
Yup, J4 with the double on his side. Solid and Streba already going down. J4 with the triple kill, trying to jam, but Dimir coming in from the sidelines, cleaning it up. Holy Sway now on Dimir and Cloud, and now the Angels coming onto the point, have that real estate, fully locked up. It is capturing, and it is time for them to set up their defenses, though they cannot set it up as aggressively as, Busted was able to do earlier.
No, they definitely cannot because they didn't have that Reinhardt yet. And, it was the same thing going on there. J4 getting the Fire Strike through the Amplification Matrix, getting into double kill straight away. But Cheeselord has already been picked off from range from Sala, so they're going to be in a little bit of trouble here.
Yep, Sola's already finding it and already firing out that Dragon Strike. J4, great charge, getting countered by Dimir though immediately. Riz finds Static through the Blizzard, and once again, it is Busted taking it, and it is 85% in already. Now the Angels need to act quickly.
Yeah, it was the perfect early pickoff on the Cheeselord, because that was the Transcendence could have saved almost everybody there. But it couldn't, because Cheeselord was gone because of the headshot. They will have their Transcendence for this engage now, which is always nice to have. But I don't know if it's going to be enough.
Static jumping in there, trying to get the first little bit of body onto the point. It's now 4 and 2. The Blizzard coming out very nicely done here by Static. Is not blocked by any side. Holy Sway finding Jam Jam. Holy Sway with a double, with a triple, looking for more targets. Taking down 4. Riz going down. The Overtime Wick still running, and it is the Angels coming out on top. Holy Sway looking to get Solace, who gets found out by Cheese Lord on the sideline. The team kill is real, and now they can set up a proper forward defense and buy themselves some time. Beautifully done.
Yeah, very nicely done right now. They're just going to be able to hold a little bit further forward than they were before, but they don't really have that much anymore to work with. That being said, the amplification, which could be used, especially with that fire strike, they have to back off because it was just waited out and countered by the wall of boosted there. They're going to come in with their own Dragon Strike and the Shatter, which is going to be probably a battle of the Shatters, this one.
Let's see what's going to happen. J4 has to jump away from that thing. Solace with the Dragon splitting up the team. Now Dimir has time to go on to Holy Sway. Dimir looking for more targets, but has to pull back as he goes low. It is J4 now on the attacking side. Great May wall, making it quite hard for Bastard to get out of this team right there. Static finding Solace, and it looks as if the Angels are able to stabilize it. Static finding Dimir as well. Now Jam Jam has to pull back, the only one still in there, and he has a Discord orb on him. Gets saved by that Maywall. Immortality Field is going down, has been used earlier. Now 95 to 99%, and this could turn to be one hell of an interesting match. Cloud coming in from the side, trying to Lucio his way into that, buying some time he has to. Jam Jam finds H-Moon, finds the Immortality Field, and Cheeselord has to pull the Tranquility in order to get the team alive. Now a great Blizzard coming out on the side of Riz. Riz finds J4, J4 going low, but is able to stay alive there. Jam Jam and Riz both in trouble because of the counter Blizzard. Fantastically done, and it looks as if Boston are giving away that first little map. Overtime Wick going down. Angels take it after a great stabilization. Well played.
Yeah, there was 2 fights in a row where one of those 2 was a little bit of a problem, right? So the first fight, you had those Shatters. So both Shatters were used in that fight, and they were kind of dancing around each other to Reinhardt's, making sure that either shield didn't break or they were ready for the other one. And J4 played that beautifully, never gave Dimir a chance to shatter, and they always put them in a little bit of a problem with that static Maywall behind them as well. And the second fight, the last fight, you had both Blizzards going up against each other. Riz had it first. Static didn't have it online yet. Was able to just stay out of the range of the Blizzard of Riz, and then throw out their own Blizzard on top of it, making sure the enemy couldn't engage to follow up on their own Blizzard. And then they just turned it around with the later Blizzard. Usually you see that happen with support ultimates. Who uses it second wins. But this time it was a Blizzard battle. And they're going to almost mirror once again, but it's going to be once again the McCree versus the Hanzo and the Lucio. Oh, Zenyatta's are actually on both sides now.
Zenyatta's on both sides because at this court orb in those mid to long range engagements is just absolutely monster. Also, we know that Zenyatta is playable again now. So, you know, that's fun. Tangxi setting up on the point here. Control point unlocking in a couple of seconds. And it looks like the Angels are going for a very aggressive setup. Going for a very aggressive first little foray into the point right here. It's always very dangerous to do that because, you know, you don't have a lot of room to maneuver in the early. And H-Moon going down here by Jam Jam. Holy Sway finds Dimir. She's lost finding up on Jam Jam. But so it looks like the Angels are able to keep a hold of that. Great stun from Holy Sway. Solace almost going down. Counters it, takes Holy Sway out of it. Great 1v1 here on the sidelines. And that means that it is Busted who immediately take it off the 24 picks on the side of the Angels.
Yeah, the 24% has been achieved. It's obviously a nice start, not as much as you maybe want, but still something to get off of. And now they have the McCree ultimate. They'll have the tank ultimates coming relatively close. The only thing really far away is the Baptiste ultimate, but that's the same thing for the other side. They both used it there. It's going to be mostly a Transcendence advantage from Straybor here. That's going to be a really big advantage for Boosted.
Should be a big advantage for Boosted at this point. Holy Sway looking for some targets. Has that dead eye, but goes down. Solace with a random right click and immediately follows it up with the Dragon. The Dragon strike is real. The Danger Noodles are out there, and it is a lot of damage coming out of that. J4s and Cheese Lord going down after that Immortality Field goes, and that means that the entirety of, Team Angels, of the Angels, have to go back to spawn and have to restart that. 49 versus 24%. Let's hope that the Angels can retake this in another one of those fancy manners like we saw on the first round.
Let's hope they can. For now, at least, they will be able to have a few more ultimates than the defense does, especially the High Noon could be a big deal. The Sky Noon coming out once again. No, they don't feel safe doing it.
They definitely don't feel safe doing it. Maywall making a lot of those chances a bit slower. And Jam and Streba, with the combination of Riz, are helping it out here. And I'm especially liking Riz. You know, the right clicks are on point. He's looking for these nice little off angles. And it's just able to get some value out of those long-range engagements. As long as the tanking in the front side is giving him the room, he can use it. And he does.
Definitely does. It's a great start here for Boosted on this point. Obviously, they are one down, so even if they win this one, the map is not over just yet. It's going to be a cliff approach right now from the side of the Warwick Angels, but that's not going well so far.
Definitely not going well so far. The Blizzard is running out for the Angels, but doesn't really find a lot of targets, mainly because, Solace is just running rampant. Solace and Jam were able to hold them back after a great Maywall over there by Riz. The overtime wick still running. J4 unable to get in there after a very, very nice stun. So, 1-1, and this is heating up.
It is heating up. It's getting warmer and warmer in here. I might have to turn my heater down, otherwise I'll sweat. Well, just too much. And, everything getting it sweatier and sweatier. It's obviously what you want, because that means the match is close. But, let's not overdo it. Let's not give each other a heart attack. Right now, we're going into the third point, Gardens of Lijiang Tower. Maybe we'll see some Pharah. I think both of these teams are going to be just playing the Hanzo Mei. And maybe we'll see Lucio from H-Moon, but I think it's once again just going to be a spawn leave strategy. So just a speed boost out of spawn, give slight edge in positioning for your team. And then we're going to swap back to the Baptiste. So we'll have a mirror matchup for this one. I think this might be the first one that they start as a mirror.
Yeah, this is the first one they actually do as a full mirror from the get-go. I mean, this little bit, this gun part here is, the stuff that Legends are made of. You can either win your entire series of those, or you can lose this. And in this case, both of the teams know that, and both of the teams are in the same position after the 1-1, of course. So let's see what is going to happen. Solace already trying to find some sightlines, and is trying to jump in here on the side, going for a nice little flank with the Storm Arrow. Finds Cheese Lord. Cheese Lord is very low, but so were Holy Sway and J4. And now, with the rest of the team pushing in, Solace has a very nice position to get some more in there. J4 in trouble. J4 taking it from Solace as well, while the rest of Buster just moved in from the main side. They were absolutely just split out there. Very, very nice little flank.
Yeah, it's always about which route you dare to take and which route will work for you. Because obviously that white room is pretty nice for both teams to take. But if you can spam into that white room, it's even better for you. And that's kind of the position that Boosted immediately came into. And that's the position they wanted, where they can just spam at the enemy team. So they're going to be in the same position. Again, they'll have better cover. They're going to be able to spam in there, even have the dragon to really mess them up.
Oh, that dragon is already coming out. I don't think they expected it this early. The immortality field holding everyone alive, but at least, getting there for a second and needing to run back gave them a bit of a breather. Tanksy already takes the Mir out of the play, so that means the main tank is no longer in there. And the Warwick Angels are a team that know how to handle that. Holy Sway, J4 going in forward, and look at that. Tanksy is just able to set up on those sidelines. Now we see a nice little fight here between Holy Sway and Solace. Holy Sway actually winning it because he had that Storm Arrow still in there, and it is the Angels now taking the real estate, but 49% already on the clock for Busted. So, could be interesting.
Yeah, it was really big. That dragon in the beginning of that fight was huge from Solace, but it didn't get anybody. And in the meantime, Holy Sway takes out Cheese Lord. Takes out Straybor. And then also Demir falls afterwards, so you're missing your Zenyatta, which is your extra damage boost. And you're missing your Orisa, which is, a big part of your shielding and your range damage. So a lot of spam, a lot of sustain gone in that state. And then they can just run over them, which is exactly what they did. Now the ultimates are also in the favor of the Warwick Angels.
That's right, and the Danger Noodles are already out. The Dragon Strike coming in from the side. Immortality Field is up, so that means that Busted needs to take a second to get in there. Solace on the side, trying to take that Immortality Field out of the play, does so, and gets some sightlines for the rest of the team. Tremor and Solace are able to take some real estate in there as they move in. Holy Sway and Taxi going down, Riz coming in from the sideline, and they don't really invest a lot of ultimates in order to get that point. Jam Jam with the double on the melee. Solid finding it static after that, after the ice block is done. And once again, Busted in control, 52 to 59.
55 now. They're counting up that percentages. That's where they need to go. And obviously, they're gonna need to get to the point somehow. Archangels. They're not gonna give it up. They're just gonna go through wide room again. And it is the most viable strategy. You don't want to walk over that bridge and get pulled off or anything like that. Just go through that thing because the spam is just as strong for you as it is for the enemy. But they're still having trouble. It's all about who gets that opening pick, and this time it's going to be boosted. That's not even going to be a fight. That's just over.
That is over, and they know it. They have to pull back, so they're using the May wall, trying to get themselves, you know, out of those sightlines. But Tanksy and J4, both of them very low, Static and Holy Sway also not looking very fresh. So, you know, Boosted are able to execute their long-range strategy to a T. Now, another Dragon coming in from Solus. Cloud with the Amplification Matrix. Solus finds Holy Sway and the Immortality Field. The Overtime Wake running its course. And even though the Blizzard is coming out from Static, the Overtime now 5v1 on the body advantage. And even the May can't get in there. The Overtime, though, still running. Now with a Tracer coming out there. Holy Sway extending it. 2 people still in there. And it is Warwick holding on to dear life. With the 10-player kill streak from Jam Jam, though, he is not deterred. Boosted, taking the first map. And that was one hell of an outing.
Yeah, 100% great map from Boosted, but also for Warwick Angels. It was a fairly matched up endeavor, and I don't know. I think this could be a very fun series. Control rarely shows the tone of what the rest of the series is going to be, but if it's going to be this close on all of the maps, we're going to be for a very good finals here. And you know what? What would you expect? It's the finals. It has to be a great match, right? Like regardless of anything.
Yeah, we all know it's the finals. The players know it's the finals. You know, we here in the booths know it's the finals. The actual viewers know it's the finals. Half of Twitter knows it's the finals. So, you know, you really get this finally feeling, and I am excited to see what these teams are going into. Yeah. So, looking back at the players right now, who has the biggest impact on both teams?
It's hard to say like right now because both teams have both have players that are coming out and doing a certain thing that just works out really well for them. So whether it's getting the opening pick on the Hanzo, whether it's like a nice pool combo or anything like that, it can all be said that this is like that one player is doing better than the other. I think the main thing you can look at is what is being punished properly. But you know what? We're gonna get a better picture of that in the coming maps because Control is always such a chaotic show that it's hard to really point out that one player that did really well. And I think that right now we're just gonna have to see a little bit more footage to really see who is the one that is almost carrying their team to victory.
That's right. But before we do see that, we have to run a quick break here, just to get everything back up into your optimal situation. Give those teams a minute just to take a breath, and we will be with you in just a very, very short second. So stay tuned because we have more Overwatch for you here in the Overwatch Clash.
Oh, yes, and we are back. I told you it was going to be one hell of a quick affair. Everyone is ready, everyone is psyched. We all had a quick drink, and now we are ready for more Overwatch. And the teams know that because we are loading straight into Temple of Anubis. Temple of Anubis, a map with a lot of height difference, especially on the first point. We've seen Busted going in for the longer range engagements, while the Angels struggled on that just a tiny bit. What can they do in order to take this second map? Man of Class, talk me through it.
And they can essentially they don't really have to change much up, right? Because even if there was a mirror matchup that they technically lost on that first map, it was so close that it's one of those tiny things. If you just change the wall timing or that slight positioning thing you do, or you hit that one extra shot, or that barrier just stays up a little bit longer, or is it a slightly different position, comes up a little bit later. It's all those tiny things that you don't necessarily need to change anything about your own game plan in order to fix those things. These teams are very evenly matched. That being said, though, maybe you want to switch something up. If you think you're comfortable in something else, you might want to go for something different. But it seems that these teams are very much practiced on these compositions: the Baptiste, the Zenyatta, the Hanzo, the Mei, and of course Dioris, the Sigma. That even though the barriers are nerfed, is still a very good combination. So going to Anubis here, I'm not expecting a lot to change. And in fact, we don't see anything change. The only thing we do see changed, so the teams are now in different colors because they swapped sides. And there's one thing we love, it's teams swapping sides because it shows that they're thinking about the importance of the side that they're on.
Yeah, no, that's right. Also, they cast us. So thank you for letting me know that. So Busted now in the red on the attacking side. On the defensive side, here are the ladies and gentlemen of the Warwick Angels, and they are already moving in on the left side, taking a lot of damage. But the Immortality Field and that Mei Wall doing a great job of giving them a fighting chance as they move in on those side lanes. What do you think of this initial push?
Initial push is nice. It's a very classic way of going. It's sort of the same thing as moving into White Room on Lijiang Gardens, where you want to take that angle to just spam on them in a straight line, in a very linear fashion. It's all about cooldown management and happening to hit the right shots here. Riz is going relatively low, but I think they're going to be fine here.
Oh, Cloud really looked into Death's Eye there for a second. Riz as well. So they had to use a second. And the moment they are ready to push, there's this Mei Wall by Static. But Static and 4B already going down. So now the Angels are coming in hot and heavy. Jam pushing the rest of his team onward with the Accretion taking on one and almost two of the support. Wow, Cloud already going down now. Solace finding it up there on Cheese Lord, and it looks as if it is, beautifully done there for Busted. Very clean, very, very aggressive play, and it was beautifully done.
Beautifully done, very quick take, very efficient take as well. And you see the efficiency of the take in the amount of ultimate charge that people have accrued. Normally, if the fight goes a bit longer, there will be more lights online, but there is none as of yet. It's only going to be the actually more defensive ultimates than offensive ultimates, if anything.
Yeah, that's right, because they have they were able to, on both sides, just efficiently, clear or be cleared in this case. Now looking though, Warwick are in trouble. Have to stick together for a second, but they will know that both Riz and Solace should be at least close to the ultimates. Holy Sway now has the dragon. Will he launch it? Will he already decide that this is the time? Yes, he decides it's the time, and he's pushing it out. Holy Sway with the quadra kill on the Danger Noodles, and that's boom, ramen for you! And that is one clear point right away, and the team kill is real.
And not even any ultimates used almost. It was literally just the dragon that they needed in order to win that one. Sure, the attackers also didn't use anything, so it's going to be a very explosive fight in the next one. But it's just nice that you're able to not overinvest ultimates in a fight like that.
Yes, and it is nice that, even at this high SR, so 4.3k average or something, you every now and again see one of those ultimates where you could just, how these ultimates work. They can be devastating if you have a tad of luck and a lot of timing on your hands, and these teams know exactly that, and they're using it to full extent. Now, Solace has the sightlines, is looking to at least split them up with a Dragon Strike of his own, and maybe even get some revenge in there. So it is
is Busted trying to find an opening here on those side lanes, and that could spell trouble. Now the Dragon on the other side, the Dragon Strike coming in, not finding any targets. Immortality Field is coming out there. Holy Sway actually able to kill Solace on the back of that, so that means that there are a bit less bodies on the attacking side. It is looking dire for Busted. They're not able to get up there on that point, but a great Graphitic Flux from Jam Jam opens it up yet again. Holy Sway going down. Static though with a great Blizzard taking down Jam Jam. Tanksy with the double, Tanksy with a triple kill, clearing it up, and Warwick Angels still in control of the point. 3 minutes still on the clock though.
Yeah, and such an amazing just counter with that Blizzard. The Gravitic Flux comes out, you think, oh, you're gonna have some, but then everyone tries to attack as the wall drops from Boosted, and they just can't, because then immediately the Blizzard is there, so they have to back off again, and they sort of split the team, not with the wall, but with the Blizzard instead. There's a very nice microplay goes on there, and they still they still have some ultimates left, but now the ultimate advantage is skewing slower and more in favor of Boosted area.
Yeah, that's right. So unless they can hold them back with a long-range pot shot and keep a lot of, keep a lot of damage going in there, so they can get these ultimates back up, they could be in trouble. Tanksy, by the way, going in trouble as both of the defense matrixes, of the boost matrixes are on there now with the hypercharger from Tanksy coming in, supercharger, terribly sorry, coming in. There's a lot of damage on the field on the side of the Warwick Angels, and they're making the best of it. Busted has to pull back. Holy Sway has another dragon. Will he try it again? Static going down though to Solace. Both of these Hanzos have that dragon, and we can see that both of these, can be quite devastating. Risk has the Blizzard though, so still ultimate advantage coming in for Busted, and that's it. Now the Blizzard is coming in with the Danger Noodles on the outside. Both of them, Holy Sway and Solace, have fired their Dragon Strikes, and both to no avail, but both split up their parties just nicely. Static was still in that that little ice block, and then fired the Blizzard in there, so a fighting chance for Warwick, but 2/3 already capped, and it doesn't look as if Busted are going to give up very easily. Jam Jam with the double takes Tanky and Holy Sway out of it. Only one person on the Angel side still in there with the second one coming. Jam Jam looking for something with the ultimate, and that's it. Round 1 complete. 1 minute 20 on the clock.
1 minute 21 is definitely not a bad time, but with the quickness they took that first point, could have potentially been better. So but you're still gonna be happy that you finished the map. You finished it with over a minute left, so you already put up a win condition for yourself, which is just don't let them cap the point, second point, and even if you do, just make sure they don't have any time left, because then you automatically have that 1 minute 21 window to just cap point A and win the map outright. That being said, though, very nice recovery after point A from the Warwick Angels. I mean, they definitely were in a little bit of a tough spot, but as we alluded to, their ultimate situation was so good because that first fight went so quickly that they actually had a lot of tools to immediately defend with, and they only needed to use one. They kept the ultimate economy actually quite healthy throughout the rest of that defense as well. So yeah, that's all you really need to do. And I mean, obviously you still need to hit the shots and use the ultimates at the right time, but if you're able to as a team have that macro play go on where the overall strategy is just working for you, and you don't overextend, you don't overuse, and you don't give away things that you're not supposed to give away to boost it, you're in a pretty good spot, and that's why they held on for that long and got a good hold going.
They have got a good hold going for the longest time, taken a lot of time out of the time bank at this point, so now they have the chance to equalize this. What exactly do you think are the chances for the Warwick Angels, and what do they need to do in order to take Team Busted as quickly as they can? Or quicker than they did?
I mean, right now they are coming out with a very similar composition, obviously, but Holy Sway is going to be on the Reaper, which is a different thing that they have been doing. H-Moon on the Lucio, Cheeseburger on the Baptiste, so they want speed and sustain. And the speed is no longer there for a bit, because H-Moon just got taken out by a nice combination of Maywall and spam.
The old Maywall and spam combination. J4 gets the accretion there and fires his own one in there. May trying to be as dangerous and as forward as possible. That may have been a bit of a misplay, or at least something that could have gone differently for them, because a lot of damage. Jumping in, May already down, Cheese Lord in trouble, and it looks as if right now, Busted are firmly in control of this.
And I think they misplaced the wall of Riz. I couldn't quite see where the wall came out, because Riz used the wall first, and then when they tried to follow up on their own wall play, they got walled off by Static's wall on the attack. So the Orisa and the Mei were split out straight away. Cloud went down as well, and then after that, if you lose that much control, that much healing, you're just in so much trouble that you're not going to be able to recover. That first point once again gets taken pretty quickly. Let's see if they can turn it around quicker than Busted could.
Well, if they can keep up this tempo, then they should. Ooh, Solas and Cloud. That is a nasty cup of tea right there. But the Angels are not done yet. I say that while J4B goes down. So now a quick bit of a reset on the side of the Warwick Angels. By the way, I have to comment on the holds for the Orisas right there, because as impressive as a lot of these plays have been, especially like I said, the Dragon Strike that just basically killed the entire thing. It was actually a great hold by Tanksy, and I need to give him props for that. But the Orisas, all in all, are just taking so much space for their respective teams, and you can see that they've been playing that in a double shield meta for a long time, and I don't think they'll be stopping anytime soon on those.
No, and obviously that's a big part of it. The combinations of those abilities. And right now the Dragon is already out. They're trying to pull them into halt, but the wall was good from the side of Static. And now they're trying to get in there. Holy Sway almost at the Death Blossom, but chooses to retreat. And they're going to come out hard here right now.
They are coming out hard right now, and they have the room to actually do that. The Blizzard is coming out there, and that means that there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now almost 6 people down. Holy Sway following it up with a great Death Blossom. The team kill is real, and it looks like they're taking it, and they do. Round 2 complete, and a lot of time bank difference. The Angels back in the game.
Yeah, obviously it was a beautiful play. I'm sorry that you missed a slight bit of that action, but in the kill feed, I think you missed everything. You saw everything that you needed to see. The Blizzard came out and they were just deleted from that point. And that's what you need on that second point of assault. You just need something to wipe 3 or 4 players away quickly, and then just clean it up fast. Because otherwise that stall comes in, and there was no chance of that stall coming in by any means. 4 minutes and 5 on the clock, and now you're happy on Boosted that you actually kept it with over a minute, because otherwise you would not have got you might not even gotten a proper attack chance anymore. They will now though. 1 minute 21. They took the first point with less than that last time, so they shouldn't be too worried just yet. But they weren't able to roll it into second quickly enough. So right now, it's definitely on them to try and improve their first run, because otherwise they're looking hard for them to really win this map out still.
Well, that fully depends, there is still the option of the Warwick Angels just faltering. However, seeing how they, seem very, very motivated to win this, both of these teams, I don't think they will. And I think the chat can actually help with that. I would very, very much like to have some support spam for these great teams, especially for the tanks, who are doing a fantastic job. I'm terribly sorry. I'm a tank main. I love my tanks, and these two teams have fantastic tanks, but we'll see what they will do next. Now, leading the charge on the side of team Busted, Risen Solace already looking on the side. There's some sight lines, some shenanigans coming in from Solace across that wall. But let's see whether or not he will try and do another flank, at least taking a couple of pot shots here at H-Moon. And now it's Jam Jam moving his team forward slowly, trying to keep that double shield up. Jam Jam eating himself some nice shielding in there, which is fine because Tanksy is giving him enough damage to actually do that for a bit. And now they're trying to get forward. The Accretion doesn't find a lot of targets at this point, actually just finds another shield. Counter Accretion. Oh, Solace and Riz, especially Riz being hit by the Accretion, going a bit low, but both of the healers still there. So while this stalls, what can they do?
They can keep advancing slowly, which they have been doing, and they're just working down the cooldowns of their own as well. and just keep advancing a little bit. But eventually they're going to have to go for a clash here. And with this application minute, it looks like what they want to be doing. But they're just hiding inside of this room. And with 0 seconds left, this is where it has to happen.
Oh, yep. And Solace firing it out. This time, it is Solace on the double kill with a Dragon Strike. I'm not saying the N word again. So, very, very, very early in there. And, you know, hiding in that little room was their downfall. They weren't able to scatter out for that far enough because Solace, together with a nice little halter on the side of Dimir, they are taking it in the overtime onto round 2. They get some more time in there on the time bank. 30 seconds to go. And now it's a race against the clock for realsies.
Yeah, it's gonna be a hard one to still push it in a second, but they will still have some ultimates left. But there's so much more on the defense. They're so close to the tank ultimates, DPS ultimates, and the transcendence. It's gonna be a hard one to overwhelm them.
It's going to be a hard one to overwhelm them with a lot of ultimates coming in their way, but they're still trying. Jam already moving in there, is low right there, but the Graphitic Flux for J4B is trying to make the most of it. The lamp was still in there, the immortality field, so a lot of damage got mitigated on that. Static has to jump back into the ice block, and a great transcendence coming out for Cheese Lord. So that means the Warwick Angels are still able to give this a bit of an answer. Cloud going down. Cheese Lord, that was very, very important in terms of killing it. Riz and Jam holding on to the alive, and Claude and Trevor already down. Now both of them down, but the Blizzard is still alive. Solace, the only one still in there. The overtime wick is running. One body on the point still there for Team Busted, and that is that. Round 3 complete. Time for the turnover. Time for the Angels to show us their offensive.
4 minutes to capture point A and a little bit of point B. Actually, 4.5 if they cap point A, they get another 30 seconds. It always happens. So 1 minute 35 total. If they manage to cap point A, then they have to get 1 tick. And they did it in much less last time, of course. They did it in 2 minutes 55. And yeah, it seems very realistic. Obviously, they will be able to do it. But then again, you know, it could be that the defense wasn't quite there on point A, or that there's going to be a different defense plan on point B. That's just going to be way better for them. It's going to work out. Maybe we see some Junkrat. Who knows? Maybe we see something interesting. But it doesn't look right now like that's what they want to go for. It's going to be Solas and Riz once again on the Hanzo and the Mei. And I can't blame them. I mean, it's not like it's not working for them. It's just like for the Warwick Angels, it has been working a little bit better. And Holy Sway's Reaper was really a difference maker last time. Will they go for that again? That is my main concern. Well, that's the thing I want to know. I just want to know it, but they're not going to show me before, you know, they come out of spawn, which is still a few seconds.
And even if they do, they will always like to swap it around just to get us on the wrong leg. So setting up in a classic way on that mid-high ground with the entire team with the double shield meta, that is quite a common sight. Holy Sway right now looking like he's on the Reaper, so you know, good call. Coming in on the sidelines as well. Otherwise, no surprises, I believe.
No, not really any surprises right now. And obviously, we do see the Reaper from Holy Sway coming out, which is, you know, the one thing that was working very well for them last time. This time, no pickoffs as they get into this room, so even more of an advantage than they had last time. And look how far they're backing up. They're not going for this aggressive hold. Last time they did, and then they got punished for it. So maybe that's what they're changing now, saying we're going to hold further back and spam them out that way.
And that could be, and especially since you have a lot of sight from Solace coming in there, you have a lot of options. Statics and Holy Sway going down. Solace fully in control of this, and Team Busted are holding back for a second, giving them some time to breathe. 3 minutes 20 on the clock, and Warwick now split between the sight room and the spawn.
Yeah, we do see that. Are they going to be able to get their DPS back into it? That's the main question. They use the wall to at least get their Mei back, but ooh, almost that Sigma called out. They're going to get the Hanzo in there, and they do manage to get everybody in that room. That's what they needed. They needed to just get safely in there. And now Solace is going to go back to that high ground, and he's going to do the same thing.
They're trying to get to the same thing immediately, but now they're being pushed back a little further. Doesn't look like they are going to try and find that attack, going to try and find that opening. Solace a bit closer now, so that could be potentially risky for them. H-Moon is able to, you know, hold on to that, even though barely getting through the accretion. Now Solace up on top there, and that means that they are trying to get get as many headshots as possible, trying to get that Dragon Strike ready, and let's see whether or not they're going to fire it. The May Wall, it is potentially dangerous. Solace firing the Storm Arrows into Tanksy. Tanksy falling down there. Demir finds Static, and Warwick once again completely down. They're just holding it out there. 2 minutes still on the clock, though, and there's a couple of attacks still in the bank for them.
Yeah, this is where the 4-minute time bank really comes in, right? Because 4 minutes is what you usually get. They actually had 5 bonus seconds. So they're still not really that worried, but it does feel like they're getting a little bit pressured. They're now halfway through most of their ultimates. 2 of them are basically in line with their support ultimates. The defense has so much more to work with.
Defense has so much more to work with, and they have all the time in the world, and they seem to know it. Okay, now though, the immortality field is going down. Solas and Schreber are absolutely just finding their sight lines and not leaving a hair on Warwick. Holy Sway in trouble. Static already going down. Tanksy very, very low, and they have to pull back. It's 1 minute 20 on the clock, so we are going into second to last or even last fight territory, depending on how quickly they can actually move into this.
They probably have a little bit of opportunity to move in right now. Even if they lose this fight, if they reset quickly, they can have another one. Ooh, that opening pick, that's huge. That might be everything they need.
Holy Sway taking down Cloud. Solace with the double.
No!
With the triple kill. HMG Lord and Holy Sway already going down. Solace coming in with the, and I don't care what you say, those noodles are dangerous. Beautifully done right there. This is an equalizer. 30 seconds on the clock. Last fight territory and a lot of ultimates on both sides. So expect a storm of the ages.
Yeah, now the Baptiste will be back just in time. He had such a beautiful opening pick, and he is completely countered. They can't seem to get through this entire spam. They're going to try again, but now they're going to get the Blizzard. The Graphitic Flux maybe as well. I don't know. No, but just
counter dragons going into the immortality field. That was it. 10 seconds still on the clock. So now either you bring out the fast targets or this is it. And I believe it is going to be the second. No one is going to be able to run in there in time. Nope, that was that. Beautifully done. Busted. Take it against all odds for a 2-0 lead.
Busted, not letting their defense get busted open. Oh, I did it. I'm so sorry, but I had to. It was just, it was just so amazing, and I'm very surprised that Holy Sway is getting a Dragon play of the game or a Hanzo play of the game, because I'm pretty sure that 5K Reaper thing was more impressive. But I guess yeah, that's also pretty good. Let's not deny that was an amazing play too. He had quite a few won. And you're thinking if you get that many plays, you're able to win the map out. But like I said, they just weren't able to get through that second defense. And that's not that weird. I mean, Busted they are the kings of the spam comp. At least they proclaim themselves to be that to a degree. So it's not weird that they adapted to such a way where they said we're just not going to fight them up close. We're just going to go for spam because that's where we win. Every time the fight goes into longer and spammier places, we seem to win. And that's just what that entire defense was. They stayed at range and they spammed and they won with it. Whether it was with an ultimate, with the dragon pick, with just an arrow pick in general, it just worked out for them. And Warwick couldn't get close enough for an angle where they could actually do something in return that was of any value. They got that one opening pick on the Baptiste, and I thought, oh, this is where they're going to turn around. This is what's going to happen now. But they couldn't actually pull the trigger even further because it was just Solace turning it around with another 2 dragon kills and a Gravitic Flux and a Blizzard, and there was always something that they just couldn't use their own ultimates to get into the right position, and that's just a shame because they had such a good position to win that map in, and now they're 2-0 down. Yeah. And 3 maps wins you the series, wins you the finals. So now they're really under pressure. We were rooting for reverse sweep last series, but this series might be even more realistic to root for one because it's the Warwick Angels. It's boosted. They're both going up against each other. They're both teams that very much deserve and are capable of winning this. But you still need to do it. And Warwick Angels right now just hasn't been able to actually get there and win even a map. So Kings Row is going to be their next choice of battleground, and I don't know, it was looking great for them, but it sort of fell apart.
If they can actually pull themselves on their bootstrap, Warwick Angels, if they don't get deterred by this, but get this fully up there, they can do the reverse sweep because they have all the qualities. They have all the capabilities and they have the right mindset to do that. So now it just comes down to stamina. Remember, they already have a game under their belt. They already had a couple of maps before this actual grand final. But if they pull themselves together, they can pull this off. And I believe that all of you out there know that. I believe that all the players out there know that. So let's get this done while we load into Kings Row in just a couple of seconds. Kings Row, hybrid map. What can we expect? Classy, talk us through it.
Look, this was traditionally Reinhardt's Zarya playground, but even now, with the nerf to the barriers and with the buff to Zarya's damage, you still don't see all that much Rein Zarya. And the reason for that is still because of the way that DPS function right now. The way you can just spam down barriers now means that if Reinhardt is your solo barrier, even he doesn't do enough to get you close enough to get enough value out of that Rein Zarya. I think that is where the main thing lies. You don't have enough CC and spam damage when you run a Rein Zarya comp. As opposed to the enemy sustain and their spam. So you kind of always lose out that battle. Unless you can get in their face and literally next to them, it's going to be very hard to make a Rein Zarya work. We are going to see a Reinhardt Orisa from the defense, though. J4 and Tanksky, they're going to try it. They're going to pull it out here, and it's not unreasonable. It's definitely something that definitely can work on this map. It's still a good map for Reinhardt. It's just not a great map for Reinhardt and Zarya right now because of where the meta is. So will we see the same thing coming out from the offense? I doubt we'll see the D.Va from Jam Jam going over back to the Riz. So it's going to be almost a mirror, but we'll probably see Riz on the Mei. No, it is going to be just a mirror.
It's going to be a full mirror. Yeah. Why change a winning team, right? And they both know that that is probably their best shot, because I believe that Busted, even though this lead is 2-0, they know exactly that they are in trouble if they even slip for a second. Holy Sway taking down Jam Jam. So one of the tanks already going down, and that means an opening going in there, and Busted have to turn back for a second. Holy Sway on that Hanzo, not as impressive as he was on the McCree in the last map, but still very, very dangerous and a player to watch.
Yeah, right now we are going to be seeing a little bit of an old advantage from the defense, especially in the Mei department, a little bit for the tanks as well. But I'm hoping to see those windows come up pretty soon, because Cloud versus H-Moon has been a battle that's worth watching. Just consistently those windows coming out at the right timing and just doing so much damage for their team.
Yeah, and I just got a request from chat. I know we are a couple of minutes behind. You know, due to the tension, maybe I should take off my tie. And I will do that for good luck and for Warwick, because I want this series to never end at this point. And let's hope that it can make that work. Already the Dragon Strike is up for Holy Sway, so a bit closer to it than Solace, and he fires it out immediately, and that means that the team is now split off, countered by Solace's one though, and now both teams split, and this turns from a regulated defense immediately into a bit of a brawl, and a brawl is just what Team Busted shines. Riz with the right click on H-Moon. That was absolutely beautifully done. Solace cleaning up on Cheese Lord, and that means the payload is out there and rolling.
Yeah, it's going to be a great first point take. They took a little bit longer than they did on Anubis the first time around. They're 2 minutes down already. But they are going very aggressive, trying to get some staggered spawns out, but they might be punished for it. No, it doesn't look like it. It looks like they're fine. Just going to set up on the bookshop, and this is going to be a 6v6 fight.
This is going to be a 6v6 fight, but wait, J4 has the shatter, but so does Dimir. Maybe we can see an old school Reinhardt fight. If those Orissas don't get in the way, that could be a lot of fun. You know, remember those old basic... Oh, J4, nice one after the hold. That was beautifully done there. And Cloud throwing some shade there in the chat. Static looking for a chance to throw that Blizzard and to get as much time off the time bank for a team Busted.
It's gonna be a little bit hard to get through this right now, because this choke is such a strong position. It's one of the slimmest chokes of the entire game, and also one that's very hard to get around, because there's not really an easy high ground route. Even if you go around through the clock tower on the left side from the defender's perspective, you're still gonna have a lot of trouble. And they have so many ultimates on the defense. Like, I don't know how they're gonna get through this.
Well, it is going to be a Herculean task, I can tell you that much. Now the Blizzard is coming out for Riz. Riz already going down there, and now a strike coming in. The shatter coming in for Dimir. J4 still holding on to it, but now the Dragon Strike coming in on the sidelines. A lot of damage, but it is Tanksy who is able to get out of the way of that, and that means that the defense are still firmly in control of this. Now the Tranquility coming out from Strebber. Cloud with the amplification matrix, but not a lot of damage being amplified at this point, as it is the Angels who are firmly riding this out. 2 minutes 40 still on the clock, and the Angels haven't committed as many ultimate as they could have, even though both of the superchargers are on there behind their respective Maywalls, moving forward, inching it slowly and bit by bit. Our team busted. Solace with that quadra kill though on that Hanzo after a nice flank, taking down Cheese Lord, Static, and Holy Sway, and just making sure that that flank is clear is, I think, crucial against a player like Solace.
It's gonna be a hard one to recontest. They're not even gonna bother. I mean, they could have, because they were gonna get walled up and killed anyways. So now they didn't contest, and they're gonna give up a lot of free space. This is not looking great right now in the defense. They're gonna have to restabilize some way, but they're coming up with some tools to do that. All they need to do is not stagger themselves out any longer and take the fight on the next corner.
Yeah, but Classy, if they try to stagger it out, maybe waiting even for Cheese Lord's Tranquility, don't you think that is a big risk with that payload now coming around the last corner?
It could be. They definitely could be, but they're able to deal with it in some way, I'm pretty sure. So they're gonna be able to go in there. They're gonna have a lot of ultimates coming up here, and they just get taken out. Both tanks are already down, and now you really need to recuperate and not die.
Oh yeah, recuperate and not die right now is the name of the game for the Warwick Angels. Riz is finding on Static, even though the Blizzard is on the counter side. Solace looking for more targets on the left side. Now a nice fire strike coming in on the other side for J4B, but he has nowhere to go. Riz is just an absolute menace. A shatter coming out for Dimir, and it looks like this payload will not hold. 2 minutes 23 on the clock, round 1 complete. We change it up, and what a game!
Yeah, it was just a very big situation there. Just a very big case of just destabilizing and not really getting back in the groove of things anymore. So they were doing very well on point B as the defense. They had already taken 2 minutes off the clock after point A, and they did quite well. But then they lost that one fight, and they never were able to really restabilize. Yet that not really fight that was going on after point C was captured, because they thought maybe we can recontest, and then they couldn't. Then they got walled out. Then afterwards, the staggers just kept coming out. They never really got back into a position where they could properly use their ultimates, where they could take a fight on their terms. They were under consistent pressure, and that is the sort of the story of how Overwatch sometimes goes, especially on these payload maps where momentum is everything. And if you lose that momentum, it can be so hard to regain sometimes. And that was just a situation where that was abundantly clear.
Yeah, I mean, it's the little things that count, right? One strategic mistake, one strategic pick on the other side, and you are, up King's Row without the paddle, I suppose. So looking at this setup, we are seeing the same mirror matchup, and well, not entirely. I see H-Moon on the Brigitte, which is, for now interesting, but, it's another 15 seconds. I don't suppose they're going to stay on that Brigitte very long, unless they really, really want a big boost. But no, H-Moon swapping it over to the Baptiste. You think that Widow is just for scouting, or are they going full double sniper?
You often see that Widow just come out to see maybe we can get an opening pick, and if you can, that's great, because there's usually another Mercy that can res it, and then you have a 6v5 engage. But you see Static really going back over to the Mei, being able to get in. The wall is there to stop the enemy team from walling them in the choke, and now it's going to be a very open fight around that hotel area.
Yeah, that's correct. Though I am still wondering whether or not the Angels shouldn't, at least try and switch it up, because they are missing this little this little bit in order to secure a win for themselves. And even though they are going in there very aggressively with a nice split push on the side of Static, trying to take that high ground, it is always, as soon as this goes into a brawly mode, as soon as these teams actually clash, it looks as if Team Busted has the upper hand in the end, unless there's a lot of ultimates invested on the side of the Angels. So I wonder whether or not they should swap something up. But let's see what's happening right now. Demir low going down here, and that could be the opening as Holy Sway and Cheese Lord find more targets. Cheese Lord with the double kill. Jam Jam and Cloud going down. Tanksy has a bit of trouble because Solace is still down. Remember, Solace is just a menace to deal with. Now, though, the capture is real, bit slower than their opponent did it on the first round, but still enough time on the time bank to work with. 2 minutes and 28 going into 5 minutes. Escort that payload and have a nice little drive.
Yeah, we just keep seeing the value that they keep getting out of the Maywalls of Static. They're just the bright shining beam that just keeps them moving forward. We're gonna see the same situation here as we saw on the other round just now, where they're gonna hold on that bookcase, maybe even sort of library, even go, or bookshop. I don't even know what to call it at this point. But at this point, they're just gonna hold in that choke, going even further forward. Immortality Field already out. But they're not going to get any kills out of that dragon this time around. Solace not as accurate as they usually are.
Not as accurate as they usually are, but that means that there is a lot of pressure on them. You know, a lot of pressure on, you know, them performing on the one hand, and on the other hand, you know, by now the Warwick Angels know who to look out for if they get a chance. That was a shatter, immediately going down for JB, and that may have just been a bit of a wasted hold as Solace and Trevor take their time after the Reinhardt goes down, and that means the Warwick Angels have to pull back. Nice double May wall right there in that choke point, so both teams not looking for an immediate engage.
It was a pretty interesting use of the Transcendence especially, but then again, we've seen a lot of Transcendences just we either hit or a miss. It's a very easy ultimate that just looks weird, but yeah, let's see what we're getting out here. Nice Blizzard comes out with the Dragon to counter it.
There it is, the Dragon Strike almost taking Holy Sway. The Blizzard coming in there from the other side though, and that is beautifully executed there by Static. No one there to follow it back up. The Supercharger going down though as Holy Sway finds a couple of targets, finally goes down to Streva with a very nice right click on that side, and they have to pull back on the side of Warwick as it is now Team Busted pushing forward, and I gotta say, Bournemouth University looking pretty good.
Yeah, it's looking really good. But like we said, we saw this same thing happening on the other defense, and all they need is one good fight to just overwhelm it. They have a Dragon coming up, they have a Shatter, a Transcendence. This could be a very nice place to do it, especially because there's not that much on the other side, but they need to go for it. They need to not wait too long, because otherwise that ultimate advantage could just disappear like that.
Yep, and the ultimate advantage is right now everything that they can, or you know, everything that separates these teams from each other. You see a lot of damage. J4B has the shatter but goes down early to Streba. Solace actually with the side arrow taking down Tanksy. Holy Sway going down as well. And you know, I am loving the way that they are calling their targets. Streba with that Discord orb is just the defining factor in some of these fights.
It could be, yeah, and it's the same thing that keeps happening here, where you just it's sort of a repetitive thing, and it feels like the same situation we had on Anubis, where even if they have all the ultimates, they have everything to work with, you just cannot get into a position or get the same value that Boosted is getting out of these same tools. And these right clicks are already flying from Strayboard. These Transcendences are ready. The Blizzard and the Dragon
firing out the Danger Noodles this time. No one to halt them into it, but that could have potentially be very dangerous. Now the amplification matrix is on there. J4B is still trying to find a shatter and is still trying to find a proper angle for that. But remember, the double shield is still there. Riz on the side with the Blizzard. That could be it. 1 minute 20, and now it is Cheese Lord who has to run the Tranquility in order to save his team. Riz in trouble there, being frozen. Dimir! Wow! Nice fire strike there, taking Static and Cheese Lord out. Warwick Angels have to pull back yet again. Can't actually because of a nice May wall, and that means a stagger for the ages with 1 minute on the clock. That could very well be the defining factor for this return round here on King's Row.
Yeah, 1 minute to go. This is obviously the grand finals. One more map we're boosted and it's done. It's over, done and dusted. A reverse sweep. It looked like it was in the cards after the defense and the start of the attack. But once again, similar to Anubis, they just cannot seem to win even one more fight to get it going. They've got some ultimates, but Solus is getting very, very confident here. Goes all the way behind him. Might get an opening pick on it. Yana gets it. Oh my god!
Cheese Lord is down Holy Sway, following it up, and he does another one of those crazy flanks. He is just able to do whatever the hell he wants, going all the way up there, just trying to find as many targets as he can, and the noodles are still active, so that means with 10 seconds still on the clock, the Dragon Strike could actually push back Warwick all the way back to their spawn without them being able to do anything about it. Now, the Maywall coming out, the Dragon Strike coming out for Solace, the Blizzard is alive, and that was that busted. Take the map, take the series, take the trophy, and it is the second time that they go in with the win on a split here in the Overwatch Campus Clash. Beautifully done.
We can see another beautiful play from Solas. I think it's like the deserving thing, right? After all the plays they made, they finally get the play of the match as well. And look at that, the Storm Arrows, even if you only have 5, it looks like they have 7, because it is just so much value to get out of it. Beautiful by Busted. And I mean, I gotta say though, Warwick Angels, there were so many instances where you thought, oh yeah, they're gonna do it now. They get the momentum, but Busted so good at breaking that momentum and almost breaking down the very core of what makes them players on the side of Warwick Angels. Just getting in there, ripping it out, taking it for themselves. I don't know, like Busted seems like an unscalable mountain at this point. It's so hard to get through them. And I think Warwick Angels can be very proud of the performance they put up, because this was a hard one to win in the first place.
Oh, this was a very hard one to win in the first place, and it looked a couple of times like they are able to, take it back there. Warwick Angels gave them a fight, and especially in the first 2 maps, especially on Anubis, Warwick Angels looked very, very strong, looked very, very confident, and actually had all the reason to do that. So that was beautifully run out there. But at the end of the day, it is Busted, with the experience coming out of that win in the summer split, coming out of a lot of games, with this setup, with this roster, and just showing what they can do. But I have to say, kudos yet again to Solace on the side of Busted, but J4B on the side of the Warwick Angels, because that was a tanking outing like you don't see them very often, and beautifully executed. My tie is off, and wow, that was beautiful.
Yeah, you got to give it to every single one of these players. Like Static with the May walls, Cloud with the beautiful Baptiste play to damage the amplification matrices, the immortality fields, Straybor coming in with the Zenyatta right clicks and the nice transcendences. We could go on and on. Cheeselord did the same thing on their side, H-Moon as well. Like there's almost, I don't think there's anyone. I mean, I'm obviously not mentioning everyone right now, but every single player had a play or an impact at some point in this game. And that's what you like to see. You like to see that even if it's a 3-0, on paper, it's not a 3-0 that actually happened in the match. It was closer than that, especially Anubis really seemed like it was going Warwick's way. Didn't quite manage to get that done, unfortunately. They were also very close on Lijiang. King's Row was a little bit less close, but it was still one of those games that started out very promising. They were almost getting to a roll, but they got halted in streets and they weren't able to get through, where Busted did get through them on that second point. So unfortunately, Warwick couldn't get it done, but I mean, they can be very proud of what they displayed today. I mean, they've already won a match today, so you win one, you lose one, 50-50. I mean, that's you can take that to the bank.
Still,
I'm pretty sure.
second among 130 teams is an achievement. Remember that.
It really
now,
is.
what you also should remember is that we have had one fantastic split here in the winter. We have had
have.
one fantastic tournament, and we hope to see many, many more. And I am sure that you would like to see much, much more of these teams, but you would also like to see much, much more of the good folk at Republic of Gamers, Intel, and Twitch students who have made this entire thing possible, who have been just saints throughout this entire split, throughout this entire tournament. Remember, if you are in a university or if you are just interested, the next split will be announced pretty darn soon. Just check Discord, discord.gg/the NUEL, or follow us on Twitter at the NUEL for all the news and updates about that. For now, though, my name has been the Olimancer. With me has been the indomitable, the fantastic, the wonderful man of class, my brother in arms, and we wish you a good night and good fight in Overwatch. Bye-bye.